Hello everyone, this is Mr. Rain, and today I'm talking about choosing your car in Rocket League. And I know for many it's a no-brainer, but others have issues using the Octane and can't really seem to get comfortable with any car. But first, we're going to talk about camera settings. If you have already set up your own camera settings, you can skip to the next portion of this video. Well, before we go looking at different cars, let's instead try to fix the issue. If you haven't yet, change the default camera settings. Even if you have, look for some tweaks and see if it helps. There's a site that shows what camera settings the esport players use, and you'll see quickly that many of them agree with a very specific set of settings, and few with very few differences here or there. So go to free roam, change your camera settings to any one that you choose, and for an example, here is my preferred camera settings. Now, after that, little by little, change your setting one at a time. Try to figure out what setting does what in real time. Drive around and see if you feel more comfortable with these settings or not, and figure out what you would like to change within them. If you haven't changed your camera settings before, then this will feel very drastic. Believe me though, all you can do is try it out, and once you start playing consistently with those settings, you can make a small adjustment to tune it to your liking. Finally, set it and forget it. Once you find a camera setting that you like and feel comfortable with, keep using it and don't make drastic changes. If you're constantly changing your settings, you'll keep resetting some of your progress. The camera is a very important tool, but it doesn't give you the tools that you need to win. It's just going to give you as much or as little information as you want. It can help with learning a certain mechanic faster, but it gets to the point where constantly changing it will hurt you more than help. Any setting is going to have a pro and a con. There's no perfect setting out there, so just try to figure out what works for you and how you play. So now with that, we're going to talk about the hitbox differences between each car. So let's say that you found camera settings that you feel comfortable with, but you still don't feel very comfortable with finding a car. Well, as of this video, each car uses one of 6 hitboxes: the Octane, Hybrid, Breakout, Dominus, Plank, and the Batmobile hitbox. Each hitbox has its own pros and cons, and one thing to note right away is that each hitbox has all its physics built into that hitbox. Which means every car that uses an Octane hitbox will handle like an Octane hitbox. It will have the same turn radius, it will have the same physics that go along with that. So even if it's the Merc, it will still handle like an Octane. In this example, the Merc does use the Octane hitbox. So even though it looks like a big clunky van, it's still the very quick and noble Octane underneath it all. So with that said, why do we have more than 6 cars to choose from other than the sake of variety? Well, it's because humans are weird. Just because a car looks different, it's enough to make us think the car is different or handles different. To some effect though, this is true. Take for example the Dominus and the Masamune. They both use the Dominus hitbox, but you can see a very clear difference between the two. The Masamune is more of an oval-shaped car, while the Dominus is rectangular. So it'll be a lot easier to know the corner of your hitbox with the Dominus than with the Masamune. However, if you know how the Dominus hitbox fits over the Masamune, then you can hit the ball at the same exact way with the corner of the hitbox. Just that the corner on the Masamune's model is round. It's not exactly an easy thing to learn or explain, but hopefully it will make sense. So if you have issues with the Octane, you can try other cars that use the Octane hitbox. Maybe the issue is that you can't figure out where the hitbox is on the Octane. So try something like the Twinsier for example. It's the same exact car, but maybe the difference in the car model may be all you need. If that works, then use it as your main. Sometimes later on, you can always try the Octane again, but if you find a car that works for you, you might as well use it. Don't feel like you have to use the Octane, or any car for that matter. Here's a list of cars currently in the game organized by hitbox. So if you're looking for a change, you'll know exactly what to look for. When I started playing Rocket League, I was having issues looking for a car that I liked. I was hopping around from Backfire to Merc to Breakout and the Masamune. I did try the Octane, but it just never felt natural for me. Eventually I got my hands on the Dominus and that became my main for a very long time. So if you don't like the feel of the Octane, then I would recommend trying a Dominus style car. If you can or want to buy the car itself, I'm not going to stop you. The car has been used in tournaments and by pro players. It may not be used as often as the Octane, but it is still being used and by high quality players as well. There are other Dominus style cars they can always try without having to buy the Dominus itself. At the very least, you can get a feel for that type of hitbox and whether or not it feels good to you. The other car to mention is the Batmobile 2016. It's also one that has been used in tournaments and it plays similar to the Dominus. Chances are if you feel comfortable with the Dominus, you'll feel comfortable with the Batmobile as well. The main difference is that the Batmobile and the plank hitbox are wider than the Dominus, so it will give you more reach than any other hitbox. If you have tried these 3 hitboxes and still don't feel great or like you can do better, you can always try the hybrid hitbox. I currently have been using the Jaeger for a long time now, and my reasoning is because it plays a lot like a nimble Dominus. It still plays like a flat or long car, but it's also taller than the Dominus and longer than the Octane. So as the hitbox type is properly named, you do get a little of both. If you do like the Octane, the hybrid will feel a little clunky to you. If you use long cars all the time, the hybrid will feel just a little more natural, albeit a little bit shorter than your typical long car. So in conclusion, it's always best to try out any car you can. You'll never know what will feel better or worse than what you use already. At the same time, don't overthink it. If you feel you haven't found the right car yet, keep looking, but use 1 or 2 cars consistently. Perhaps the only thing you need is a little more practice. For more Rocket League tutorials, gameplay, and even more, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you liked the video and felt that the advice was helpful, please click the like button below. This is Mr. Rain, and as always, I will see you guys in the next episode.